back to another episode of War in Cali. In this episode, I'ma detail some Crip gangs that are part of the Long Beach S.E.A Alliance. Now the S.E.A Alliance, it includes several Crip gangs on the east side of Long Beach, from gangs claimed by Samoans and also Asians, like gangs like the Sons of Samoa, the Suicidal Town family, the Exotic family Crips, and the Asian Boyz. All these Crip gangs align together to take on several rivals. Sons of Samoa, also known as S.E.A, are a predominantly Samoan Crip gang that started on the east side of Long Beach in the 1980s. Since then, they have expanded a lot, starting cliques on the west side of Long Beach, as well as different cities and states. They are considered to be one of the first Polynesian gangs ever. S.E.A is known to be for several gangs. Some of their main rivals would include Pirus and Carson like Westside Piru and Scottsdale, as well as one of the most hated gangs in Long Beach, the Longos. Suicidal Towns are an Asian gang who started in Long Beach over 3 decades ago. They have a close relationship with all the gangs in the S.E.A Alliance, so this makes them to go to war with a lot of gangs. Some of their main rivals became gangs like the Longos and also the Tiny Rascals, also known as TRG. Exotic families are on the east side of Long Beach as well and have been around for a while. Like many other gangs in the culture, they were heavily influenced by the black culture, and this is where they got their gangbanging and adopted their Crip identity from. With the Longos being one of the most hated gangs in Long Beach off their treatment of the Asians, Samoans, and the blacks in the city, this would make them go to war with them, as well as anybody who was against the S.E.A Alliance. Lastly, the Asian Boyz. The Asian Boyz are one of the most well-known and respected Asian gangs in the world, being around decades and going to war with several gangs, for also having several prominent members in events like the Summer of Madness. The Asian Boyz named rings for what they done in the streets to have several rappers and killers keeping their name out there. The Asian Boyz had the same rivals as the rest of the S.E.A gangs, like TRG and the Longos, and also a few other gangs as well. Gangs in the S.E.A Alliance are also allies to gangs like the Insane Crips and also the 18th Street, with them having common rivals like the Longos. But with that being said, let's get into some cases. November 27, 2003. Shannon lived in an apartment on Raymond Avenue in Long Beach with his wife and his kids. Shortly after midnight, 2 men knocked on his door and asked for Shannon. One of the men was from TRG. His name was Low Key. When Shannon opened the door, Low Key put a gun to Shannon's head, and Shannon tried to push the gun away and run away. Low Key kept shooting and shot Shannon several more times until he fell to the ground. Low Key and his homie then ran away. Shannon was taken to the hospital, where he remained for 2 weeks for being shot 9 times, but he would survive. In December of 2003, an Asian boy member named Wood would be at Lakewood Mall. He would spot his enemies, the TRGs. The TRG group included Little Boy, Low Key, Zen, and another man. Wood pushed up on him and started dissing TRG. He asked one of them for a one-on-one fade, but they just told him, "We'll catch you later." Days later, the TRG shot up Wood's house, but nobody was hit. The bullets in the shooting matched the same ones used in the shooting of Shannon. On December 19th, a Suicidal Town member named Daniel was chilling in his garage, where he would be shot and killed. He was shot 9 times by Little Boy and Low Key. They was pinned to this crime after being identified and also having cell phone records tracking them to the crime. Zen would be picked up, and he started snitching on Low Key and Little Boy, and also saying they were involved in multiple shootings. While in jail, Low Key and Little Boy would make matters worse by talking on the jail phone and incriminating themselves to multiple crimes. This got Low Key and Little Boy life sentences. Around 1 a.m., July 24th, 2005, Gene and Juan arrived at Juan's family party. The party was so packed, they decided to go somewhere else and eat. So Juan, his brother, his cousin, and a man named Enrique walked into an alley. They stood in front of Gene's car. They talked for about 20 minutes until they seen somebody walk in the alley. It was a group of 3 to 4 men walking through the alley. They began to shoot at Juan and his crew. Gene was shot multiple times, but survived. Enrique was shot multiple times, and he died. Around 3 a.m. on August 14th, 2005, Carlos and his cousin Hector and Geraldo drove to pick up a co-worker named Deanna to give her a ride to work. As the 4 sat in Carlos' car, they were talking. Carlos' cousin stated that a man was approaching. Carlos saw 3 men walking up to the car. Next thing you know, Carlos heard multiple gunshots. He was shot around 10 times, and he was placed into a coma, but he would later survive from his injuries. Deanna later picked a shooter out of a lineup. September 8th, several men were chilling on 10th Street. They would get into an altercation with each other, and this led to a fight. Moments later, someone would pull up and start shooting. No one would be shot from this incident though. All these shootings would later be pinned to an Asian boy named Saran. Most of his shootings He was trying to kill Longos, so Rand will receive a life sentence. Early after midnight, on May 11, 2006, police were sitting in a parked car when they heard over 4 shots nearby. Police would notice 2 men running from the area and jumping in the car with 2 other men and driving away. The police got behind the car, and this led to a chase. Police officers arrived back to the scene where a man was shot. They found him shot multiple times in his car. The police asked him who shot him, and he replied, 2 Asian men. He would later die from multiple shots. The shooter was a man named Lolo from Exotic Family. He would receive 50 years to life for the shooting. On June 21st, 2011, a car would drive past another car and commit a drive-by shooting. A man named Pablo was shot multiple times, taking his life. Matt, an Asian boy member, was arrested on an unrelated crime. He left DNA at the scene of the shooting, with him dropping a couple on the street of the shooting. He also was recorded while he was doing the drive-by. This all got Matt 57 years to life. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, make sure you check out my previous episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.